What is going on, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So we are on our way to go see yet another car. Now, by no means do we need any more cars, but this one popped up. And let me back up a little bit. So about 2 weeks ago, Ryan on the Patreon hit me up and said, hey, my aunt has this car she wants to get rid of. Are you interested? And at first I was like, I really don't need any other cars. It sounds cool, but like, where's the car at? He goes, well, it's actually in Minot and it's only 11 minutes from my house. The least I can do is drive 11 minutes to go see this car. If it has the transmission I want, that would be awesome. Even if it doesn't have the transmission I want, it's still a really cool car. But we have to see. Again, I have no photos of this car, really like a very little amount of information on it. And you guys saw in the last video, I actually talked to the owner a little bit, but I really didn't ask many questions about the car because I'm kind of going in just like blank. I kind of want to go there and just see how it is and not know anything about it, and I'll go from there. I know the color of the car, it's a sedan, and I know what kind of like engine it has in, that kind of stuff, but I don't know the transmission. I talked to her this morning and she actually said she's not even sure where the key's at, and there's a little bit of damage above the driver's side wheel. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this car actually turns out to be, but it could be a really cool score. So here she is, Passat W8. Now I'm doing a voiceover now. I didn't want to vlog in front of this lady I just met. So here we are. So you can see tons of trans fluid on the ground on there. Passenger fender's a big chunk missing out of it. In my head, this is definitely not the car I was picturing. It's not all bad. There are some good parts of the car. Trunk lid's still in good shape. Body panels, the front bumper, rear bumper, tail lights, you can see here, good shape. All for good tires, that's a good thing as well. But just the overall thought of like thinking about this car in my head and how it's going to be, this was definitely not it. You can see things are torn apart onto the driver's side. I'm not sure what they're trying to do, but wires are pulled out. Bit of a mess. You can see in the back seat, the rear seat's up, and I saw later on the actual fuel pump is pulled out. I'm not sure why. Door card's in good shape, real nice interior, surprisingly enough. Driver's side fender trashed, but it's a W8, which is cool. Has the headlights, front bumper's in good shape. You can see under here, a bunch more stuff. Just looking at the leak down there. Definitely a lot going on here. So in this part here, going back to the passenger side, you can see the TCM has been pulled out. I'm assuming they had transmission issues, which is why this is out and it's laying on the floor. But they pulled the whole glove box out and like half the car. Again, I'm not sure what was actually happening. Just a bunch going on. And then back here you can see fuel pumps out, tools laying everywhere. Just a bit of a mess going on here. Now you can't see it in this clip, but the bolt on the trans pin are loose, so they definitely dropped it down. All the trans tools on the floor, but a bit of a mess. Okay, so there's the car. I didn't want to be like vlogging in front of her, but I did walk around the car and record everything. Yeah, Passat W8. Now, I was told the car was fresco green and a sedan. Now, it's a sedan for sure. It's not fresco green. It's LD5W. It's not the same color as the Passat we have currently, but it's one of those blue colors. It looks really nice. A lot of damage in the car. It looks like, in talking to her as well, that was her son's car that he had bought, and he just bought a car just to have a car, and a W8 is definitely not a car just to buy for anybody to have a car. It's a very specific car that needs a lot of attention, and I guess they're having transmission issues, which is why there's fluid on the ground. The TCM is pulled out of the passenger carpet. I don't know why on the driver's side, all like the fuse box, everything's pulled down. I'm not sure about that side, but it looks like, and from what she told me, they're having transmission problems, so he was trying to go through and drop the pan, check the TCM, all that kind of stuff, and then ended up just nebbing around to it. The car, so the engine wise, it should be fine, I think. There's no key to the car, there's no battery, I can't start it. I don't know how many miles are on the car, but she said he drove it for about a year or so, or about 2 years, and then it got parked. It's been here for about a year, but I guess it ran fine. It was just the transmission giving issues. Big shocker with these cars and those transmissions, and they're messing with it. But this is also his like first Volkswagen, I guess. So when you have a W8, that's just, like I said, that's not a car just for anybody as just a daily driver. It's a very specific car that needs a lot of attention, and I guess they just started pulling things apart, and that's where it is now. Also, the fuel pump was pulled out in the back, so I think the engine itself is fine per se, but I have to do a lot of work to even get to that point to check it. We would need to find a key, put their battery back in, and it looks like the negative terminal for the battery is gone, or it's connected to the positive terminal. I'm not sure why they did that, but we need to put a battery, find the key itself, plug 15,000 things back in, get the fuel pump working. So in that aspect, like seeing this car run again, it'd be a lot of work and probably a lot more work that I would want to do. Now the price for the entire car is very cheap, which fitting for how the condition of the car is currently. I'm looking at it more of a parts car. If I do end up buying it at all, need a trailer, so I gotta go to U-Haul for the truck and a trailer, drag it out of here, which I gotta figure out. I need a winch actually, because I gotta figure out how to get that car on a trailer. The steering column's locked. I don't know. It could be quite a lot of work just to get the car out of the storage unit onto a trailer if I don't have like a winch and stuff. But there are a lot of good parts on the car. It has the rear lip with the dual exhaust cutout, which is very, very cool. The US trunk would be worth some money to people overseas. The US bumpers, all the interior, I would say some of it's pulled apart, but the door cards are in perfect shape, and they have the nice chrome strip on them, which my Passat does not have that. So door cards are in great shape. The seats are in good shape. The dash is in good shape as well. And again, it has that cool chrome strip across it for the W8 stuff. Also, it has the nice headlights, the headlight washers in the bumper, and of course, the entire engine. So I mean, there is definitely a lot of parts on that car, some of which I could use for my Passat, like the headlights, the non-cracked tail lights, the rear lip, maybe some of the exhaust possibly, I don't know. There's a lot of good parts on that car that could go to my Passat if I wanted to. Or if we bought this car, it would just be like a little bit of content of getting it out of here, bringing it home, and then I guess just parting it out. I mean, I could probably pull the engine, maybe sell it to somebody. I don't know the miles on it or the condition of the engine, but maybe somebody needs it, or this might just be too much stuff to get into right this second. And I mean, she wants the car out of here and it's cheap, but then do I just pull out of here and bring it to my house and let it sit there? I mean, I would definitely pull it apart, but I'm trying to see if it's all worth it or not. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of parts in the car. I could definitely sell all the parts and make the money back, no problem. But do we need another? I mean, you always need another project car. See, this is me talking to myself and just convincing myself, just get another car. But I'm thinking about the headache it's going to be to get the car at least out of here. I might have to hire like a tow truck driver with like a winch to just drag the car out, because if I get a U-Haul trailer with no winch on it, I mean, the car is in park right now and there's no key and the column's locked to turn the wheel. So I mean, like, it's going to be a nightmare getting it out of there in the first place. Unless you put on like car dollies to roll it out. But again, I still have to get it up on a trailer. So I don't know, a lot to think about, a lot of good parts in the car that I could easily sell them all for more than the car I'm paying for the car, but don't want to go through all that stuff. Who knows? It would be cool to have those headlights on my Passat and those door cards, and maybe the driver's seat, because it's in better shape than mine is, and the non-cracked tail light. Because I mean, out here in Minot, finding Volkswagens and parts of Volkswagens, like I said, it's very few and far between. So to have an entire parts car sitting here, granted it is a different color, but it's very close to the blue that I have currently, but it doesn't matter because the driver's side fender, which is what I needed, is trash. Driver's side door, also trash. All the body panels I would need are beat up. But again, there's still a lot of parts on that car that'd be good for resale or good for my car. So we'll see. It's kind of funny though, because I knew this would go one of two ways. And I've been telling Casey the same thing, and the Patreon as well. If you're not part of the Patreon, you're missing out on a lot of good stuff. But I've been talking on there, I was like, either this car is gonna be like a 30,000 mile gem of a Passat with a manual transmission and just be like this crazy just find out of nowhere, or it'll be completely just like clapped. Really no middle ground. And I would say that one, at that point, it's pretty clapped. Granted, the engine might still be good, and there's a lot of good parts in the car, but in terms of a car you can just hop in and drive, no shot. So I figured it'd go one of two ways, and it went the latter of the two. But still, I think it might be a good score for parts, for that kind of stuff, a little bit of content. We'll have to see. I was really hoping though, I mean, when he told me that, when Ryan told me, because he said, my aunt has this car, I don't really know hardly anything about it. He said he thinks it's green and it's a sedan, but that's all he knew. No transmission, no photos, nothing. So I went into this very, very blind. I wish it would have been the fresco green. That's such a beautiful color. And I was hoping to pull up and to see like a mint condition fresco green W8 with a manual, like 30,000 miles, just like a gem. That's not what it was. Still cool, still very, very cool to see W8 out here. Needs a lot of work, but still something cool. And she was a nice lady. Talked to her for about 35 minutes. Super, super cool. So either way, I'm having a good day. Whole lot of nothing. Look at this. I'm currently heading to Minot Air Force Base for a second to go grocery shopping, get some gas. But the B-52 came in hot right over the car. Those things are awesome. I love seeing all the C-17s and C-5s in Germany, but the B-52 bombers, it's a massive plane and it looks so like sleek, and it's cool. That is a mean looking plane. I need one. How do I get one of those? Cars are cool, but like, how do I get planes? I need to get some planes. My little dude, always watching. I need a name for him. Maybe he should be the new Steve. We had Steve in Germany, which was the bird, but maybe this little guy, maybe he's the new Steve. Anyways, we are back home now, and I've had some time to think about the W8. Now, I think I definitely want to get the car, but I want to buy it as a car to kind of part out and make money off the car and have some stuff for myself. But if I get it as a car to part out, I have to actually sell the parts. The problem is, I'm going to probably buy this car and then just want to keep 90% of it. I would love to see it run again, but with that car being so torn apart, and it's been through a bunch of hands, and the fuel pumps out and torn apart, under the dash is torn apart, the transmission, I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be gone through in that car, which honestly, with the time we're here and the resources I have here, I just don't think I want to take that on. But as a car to buy and then just part out for the bumpers, the trunk lid, the headlights, the steering wheel, the interior bits, there's a lot of good parts on the car, the engine itself. That would be, I think, a good thing to do, but I have to actually do that. Now, thinking about it, I would love to put those headlights onto this Passat and the taillights and the door cards, but those are things that would also be good money to sell. So I got to figure out, if I buy the car, will I sell parts off it, or am I okay with buying the car and keeping majority for myself? Because again, the headlights of this car, the rear lip, the interior door cards, the steering wheel's in better shape, the taillight's not cracked. There's a bunch of parts on that car that can go right to this car. But do I buy it and part it out, buy it, keep it for myself? I don't know. We'll have to see. Also, to give you guys an update on this Passat here, I ordered the filter and the fluid for the transmission, the gas kit for the engine, the timing kit, ordered brakes, front and rear, a whole bunch of stuff for this car that will hopefully be here this week. Then we can dive into this car further. All right, so I've done more thinking again, and I think I'm gonna do it. Now, I'm gonna give it a day or two, just think on it, make sure it's what I wanna do. But going through, looking at part prices and just parts I could use for this car as well, I think it's a no-brainer to do. And also to say I own a W8 for a little bit would be pretty cool. Now, something I said I didn't even think about until just a little while ago, a long time ago, back in like 2013, 2014 or so, I went to the junkyard. It was Central Florida Pick and Pull in Orlando, and they had a W8 6-speed. At the time, it would be so cool to put that engine in a Mark III, but at that time I had no idea about engines or swaps or any of that kind of stuff. But still to this day, I don't think I've seen a W8 swapped into a Mark III. Now, people will say it's a pointless swap, this and that. I've always thought it'd be super cool to have a W8 and a Mark III. We've done a VR6 swap, we've done a VR5 swap, we've done a 1.8T swap, but no W8 swap. So this could potentially be the heart for a future build way down the road. I don't know when, but to have the engine will be kind of cool. Now, like I said earlier, I don't have any information on the engine in terms of mileage. Once I put a battery on it, I can see, but in terms of running condition, I really don't know. She said it ran for like 2 years, and then transmission issues why it went down, but who's really to know whether the engine's in good shape or not. But this could be the engine for, I don't even know when it would happen, but I've always wanted to do a W8 swap into a Mark III, and at this point I've made enough connections and I've learned a bunch about these cars, so to get a wiring harness for the engine or to get mounts for that engine wouldn't be super hard to do. Now, to make it all work properly, I don't know how much work that would actually take, but I have enough people, enough connections at this point that I think we could do it. So that's also my thought process. We get the car for super cheap, I part everything out, I hang on to the engine, and at some point later on we do a W8 swap, which would be, I think, awesome. Now, I wouldn't swap the W8 into any of our current Mark IIIs. I like those cars as they are with the swaps they have. Those cars are fine. I would get a new Mark III to start a new build on. I'm thinking a Golf 3 variant with a W8 and all-wheel drive would just be so cool. Now, I've always said I want a Golf 3 variant with a 2.9 VR6 Synchro, which I still would love to have one of those cars, but the prices on those are way up here. If I went and searched for a 1.8 or 2-liter Synchro, those cars sell for much cheaper, but still have the same all-wheel drive system. And at least in those cars, they have the bigger tunnel for the transmission, the drive shaft, that kind of stuff. So I think it'd be much easier to fit a W8 with the transmission going backwards down the tunnel into an all-wheel drive car ready to go. We'd have to use the 4Motion system in the rear, probably the 4Motion system into the Golf 3 Synchro rear subframe, and then figure out axles for the front. I mean, it would definitely be a lot of work to get it all done, but just for thinking, you know, later on, a W8 all-wheel drive Golf 3 variant. Just sounds cool. Now, I know we have a lot of projects this will do, the 3.6 and Miley, the VR6 swap into the GTI. There's so many projects on the agenda to still get to, but that's good because that means content for years and years to come. So I think if we get this W8 and I pull the engine and it looks okay, even if it's not okay, we can spend the time later on to go through and rebuild it and make sure it's good to go. But a Golf 3 variant with a W8 all-wheel drive swap, it just sounds so cool, and I really want that. So like I said, I'm gonna give it a few days, make sure this is the right decision to make, but the price of the car is so cheap, I can make my money back and then some, and then have parts for this Passat, and then also have a W8 for a future project, which again, this saying Golf 3 variant W8 4Motion just sounds so cool, and I would actually love to make that happen. So leave some comments down below. What do you guys think I should do? Should we send it and get the W8? She's rough, but got a lot of good parts on her, or should we pass up on this deal? Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Do not forget, be thankful for every single day. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.